the Para Cave Podcast, proudly brought to you by Rubbish Removal Kings, The Corner Post, Flash Conveyancing, Parramatta Leagues Club, Wine Barrels Event Hire Sydney, and Wick Coffee, proud sponsors of the Para Cave Podcast. The Corner Post, situated on level 1 at Westfield, Liverpool, shop 1055, is your home for NRL jerseys, collectibles and memorabilia. Look great this NRL season and visit the Corner Post today. Tell them Troy sent you, and both follow their Instagram and Facebook pages to keep up to date of what's new. Proud sponsors of the Para Cave Podcast.
Let's go! Welcome back to another show. Hi, how are ya? It's the Para Cave Podcast coming at ya. Turn it up, feel the vibe, blue and gold. Step inside the cave. Yeah. Easy try in the corner. Here's your host, Troy Warner. Coming to you live from the world famous Para Cave.
Hi, how are ya? Welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave Podcast. And look, this one is going to be a real happy one compared to last week's game review, because this week the Parramatta Eels defeated the Bulldogs 38 points to 20, and it's nothing like beating your old rivals, the Bulldogs. And look, at Commbank Stadium, it was a very special day. It's been a very special couple of days actually within the Parramatta Eels club, because the 86 premiership team, they were all in attendance yesterday at the game at Commbank Stadium. They did a guard of honour leading the players out when they ran out for the first half, and also we had the Gala Foundation dinner on Friday night as well. They attended the captain's run on Saturday, I should say. And look, it's been a really special weekend for those guys, getting back together and celebrating the 40th anniversary of the 4-2 grand final victory over the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. So let's hoping there is another one coming up very soon, that is for sure. But another person who is very excited to talk about this game other than last week's game is Ben from the Corner Post. Ben, how are you going, mate? You are probably like myself and high life at the moment, and you know the sun is shining extra brighter, if you can think that.
Mate, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I just gotten back from a very long down and back drive down to the south coast, and was smiling along the highway the whole way as I looked at Bulldogs number plates and car stickers and all the rest of it, and shoved the Parramatta logo out the window just to rub it in a little bit more. I'm doing great on this Monday. Like I said, it's a beautiful day. The sun's shining. The birds are chirping. We're all happy. We're riding a high. We've got Manly this week too, so we're looking forward to doing it back-to-back, I reckon. What do you think?
Well, yeah, definitely. I hope so. The two rivals that we beat in grand finals back in the 80s, that would be great to go back-to-back. And look, a very special round coming up, the Anzac round next week, but that'll be in our game preview podcast. But yeah, no doubt it would be great to beat them as well. But look, to this game, there was 25,938 at Commbank Stadium, so it was a fair crowd there. It was a great atmosphere. When the flag goes in the middle of the field, the flags in the stands, they're just waving about. You got the fire going as well on the field, and you got the noise as the players run out. It's a pretty good atmosphere, isn't it?
Oh, it's an absolutely fantastic atmosphere. And I do have to say, I have won the crowd competition for the first time this week.
Right, there you go. All right, well, let's start with that.
I'm quite proud of that one.
How close did you get to the official crowd number?
Well, I had 24.5 and you had 22.7. So I wasn't too far off. I was, about 1,400 off,
Yeah.
which is pretty
Well,
good. I'm pretty happy with that. But I do have to put a big asterisk on this one. And we know that Parramatta has a sore history of asterisks, or however you say that, asterisks over the years.
and why is
Um,
that?
well, I have to admit, and I hate to admit it, but I do have to admit, I think a good chunk of that 24.5 was Bulldogs fans because the away end was absolutely jam packed, and I think they were all coming out there for a show, and they got the wrong type of show thanks to our beautiful, beautiful Parramatta Eels this week.
Yes, well, there has been footage on social media of them actually leaving about 10 minutes early before the game ended. And look, I guess if they were true fans, they would have stayed to the end. And look, I hate to bring it back up, but I mean, in the 1998 prelim final, look at that result. But they left 10 minutes to go, 10, 15 minutes to go, and yeah, they just missed the ending of the game. They missed their last two tries, but anyway, it wasn't too
They
well.
missed the team song, mate. We're having a great time singing the team song up the top.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right. It was a fair chunk of Bulldogs fans there, and yeah, they probably did have the expectation of going into this game as victors, but especially after Parramatta's loss the week before. But let's get into the game, and it was 6 tries to 4 over the Bulldogs, and Ronald Volkman, he kicked a goal from the sideline, and Mitchell Moses was also 6 from 6 as well, with the boot, which was great to see as well, because we have seen him struggle a little bit with his goal kicking, but he was on song yesterday. And look, we noticed right from the outset, especially with Junior Paulo's, I think, run off the kickoff, that the intent was there in this game.
100% it was. And if I'm being honest with you, I've got to put it down to three players. And I'm squarely, I know Junior had a really great run off the kickoff. You're 100% correct with that. But I'm squarely putting this on Guymer, Williams, and Jack DeBellin. Those three guys came out of the sheds absolutely fired up. They made that second row their own. They took the challenge to the likes of Preston and Kikau and Jamin Salmon. And I really thought that they stood up. I was really happy to see Dylan Walker move down to the bench off the kickoff. We've made the correct decision, quite clearly made the correct decision there, because Jack DeBellin got himself another opportunity in first grade and absolutely stood up. I really, really enjoyed watching Charlie Guymer yesterday as well. I thought he was close to one of the best on ground. And Jack Williams is involved in absolutely everything. It was exactly the type of intensity and the pressure and the push-up that we wanted to see.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, a little bit of early controversy in the game. Marcelo Montoya with his early deliberate tackle on the Fox after a Lachlan Galvin bomb. How did you see that one? Should he have got 10 in the bin for that? Because, I mean, it was a deliberate tackle, and it was way before the Fox had actually caught the ball.
Look, we were all having a good giggle about that one, weren't we? We were that was. I've seen some pretty bad late tackles. I've seen some pretty bad early tackles. That was the latest early tackle I think I've ever seen. That was really, really poor. He got that completely wrong, and he just completely followed through with it. And I don't know what he was thinking. That was one of the better brain explosions I think I've seen all year long. I'm not sure about 10 in the bin. Like when I first saw it, my immediate instinct was to put up the hands to sort of say off you go. But I think looking back on it, I don't know that early in the game, that sort of scenario, if you can sort of sin bin somebody for something like that. Like yeah, he's got it really badly wrong for sure.
Is that a case then? Is that a case then to maybe bring back the 5-minute sin bin for things like that?
Maybe. Like I think I would like to see. I know it's probably going against the sort of traditional rules of not rugby league but NRL, because I know across rugby league this is used. I'd like to see the sort of yellow card, red card thing going on right now. Obviously, yellow cards you're warning, red cards you're off. I think that would maybe sort of help a situation like that. But like realistically, looking at that honestly, it's just an accident. He's just got it completely wrong. Nobody got hurt. There was no illegal action in there besides the early tackle. Like, it wasn't really that bad. It looked
Worse
hilariously
than it
bad.
was. Yeah, worse than it probably was. Josh Adokar, he scored the first Eels try. Now, how the hell did he get that ball down with that limited space that he had to work with? There was a ball from Ronald Volkman out to Josh Adokar, and look, he just had minimal space, minimal, and he somehow managed to, I think it was fend off Jacob Kiros, I think. No, it might have been on the other side, and yeah, just had to sort of, I guess, with his speed and tiptoe down the sideline and then get that ball down. It was unbelievable try. His 163rd try, I believe, in first grade.
Yeah, look, I've actually got to be a bit honest about Josh in this game. I didn't think he had that big of a game. Like, you look across the stats and all the players around him sort of stood up big time and he sort of just sat back. But what Josh did actually do really well in this game is, like you say, he had two or three big, huge, monumental moments that don't show up on a stat sheet or don't show up, as impactful on the stat sheet. And those moments are what really dragged us through this contest. And it was that try, which God knows how he does that. I think Fox is maybe the only person on earth that can score with that little amount of space and do what he did there. And it was I want to say, midway through the second half, he came out of the line early and put on an absolute bell ringer on Josh Curran and had him down, got him around the rib cage, had him down, gasping for air for a little while there too. So we've probably got that one up on the socials already. I know I've got that up on my socials already. That is one of the best hits you will ever see with a winger on a front rower. That was pure ecstasy, and we all felt it in the ground. I think it was felt on TV. Commentators were going off their head about it. It was the most perfectly timed tackle I think I've ever watched from a winger on a forward.
Yeah, a tackle on a front rower who was playing centre, which was a late call up after Tuala got injured in captain's run apparently, but not the smartest choice from Cameron Ciraldo to put Josh Curran there. A lot of the Bulldogs fans absolutely giving it to him about that.
I thought he had a howler. I really did. I thought he had a terrible game, Curran.
And that was actually my Wick Coffee moment of the match, wake up moment of the match. That tackle that he did on, that Fox did on Josh Curran. It was absolute cracker. Usually we hate wingers from Parramatta running inside and trying to make a tackle.
We don't have a good history with that, do we?
No. So we always get a little bit worried when that happens. But he absolutely.
Hey, you know what they say? A broken clock is still right twice a day.
Yeah, well, he absolutely nailed Josh Curran, so well done, Josh. I actually thought he had a great game, to be honest, against his former club. Ronald Volkman, who had a great game as well, he scored the second Eels try, and look, probably Jack Williams, he could probably get a try assist for that because he overran the play, and Ronald had to straighten up, and straight he did. He tiptoed, stepped, and ran and took off, and then scored the try, but if Jack Williams didn't overrun that play, then who knows what would have happened. He might not have scored that try.
Yeah. Well, that was my Wick Coffee wake-up moment of the game. That Ronald Volkman try really was the one that turned the momentum in our favour. And I think that was Ronald really announcing himself on the first grade stage as well. He had a couple of good, really, really good moments in this game. I think there was a try assist that he created as well later on in the match where he overcalled Mitchell Moses, and so he saw something going on and he overcalled the ball and took it and took his opportunity, and it all worked out really well for him. So Ronald's actually, we'll get to it a bit later on, our 3-2-1s, but Ronald's actually part of my 3-2-1 selection. So I won't ruin too early where he is on my little countdown there, but he is absolutely well and truly up there. So I thought he had his best game in first grade, to be honest with you.
Definitely in the Eels jersey, that's for sure. But Mitchell Moses took the conversion to make it 12-4. I guess Ronald might have felt a bit peeved off, I guess, from after he nailed that one from the sideline after Josh Addo-Carr's try. Mitchell stood up and said, "Nah, I'm going to take it." Maybe that was a confidence thing for Mitchell as well, but nevertheless,
I think Ronald actually took a knock. I think that's why he didn't end up taking the rest of the kicks.
So yeah, he stood up as well, Mitchell, and got all the goals, which was great to see. Some of them weren't too easy either. Joash Papali, he got the next Parramatta try, and look, that was a great little bit of lead up work from your mate Brian Kelly who was playing wing in this game. He bumped off, I forget who he bumped off, but again, he only had minimal space as well, and he made the decision to kick the ball inside, and like any good fullback would do, he backed it up, he ran, he sprinted, and he got the ball down just before the dead ball line, scored a try, and geez, he was pumped up when he scored that try. He ran over to the crowd, Gate was giving them high fives and whatever, but it just shows you how much this game means to Joash Papali.
Oh, 100% it does, and he was a player that's been given an opportunity in this game too. He was one that potentially could have maybe been dropped or been put in a different position, and they gave him another opportunity to play the fullback spot. I know before the game I was calling for potentially a different fullback option rather than Joash, and maybe having Joash play the 6, but it actually worked out better the way that it did work out. I think there was maybe potentially a preemptive injury concern with Sean Russell, which is why there wasn't too much of a reshuffle in the backs pack. Yeah, look, it all worked out the way it did, and it all worked out for the better. So I think a few of those guys maybe were thinking this is the last chance saloon to really etch my name in first grade, and I've got to take it while I've got the opportunity. And boy, did they step up! And I really do think Joash was a big part of that little core group of players that stepped up when they needed to as well. Brian Kelly's another one, like you said, he created an opportunity there as well. I think Brian was probably in the headlines for all the wrong reasons the last couple of weeks, and he was another one that really stepped up in a big way this game too. So really happy with the answer from last week's match.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. Well, it ended up 18-4 at half time, so the job was not done at that stage, obviously, with still 40 minutes to go. The Bulldogs came out after half time and got a try through Lachlan Galvin, which was a little bit disappointing the way that he did get that try, but nevertheless, the Eels were able to hold on, and Dylan Walker, he was the man right on the spot to collect that ball that was, again, Josh Curran. I think he was involved in this try for the wrong reason. But Dylan Walker, he was there, and he picked up the dregs and got the ball over right near the posts, and that took out the Eels to 22-10 with the kick to come, which Mitchell nailed, which made it a 14-point gap, which was pretty crucial. That was in the 57th minute. And yes, we said it. You said it earlier. We both said that Dylan Walker is probably a little bit better to come off the bench rather than starting, and it showed yesterday.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate as well, we're not saying that because we don't think he's up to first grade standard. We're saying that because he's so good off the bench that he makes everybody else look silly. So, and that was exactly what happened there. We had an opportunity, the ball went up, the ball got dropped, and he was Johnny on the spot and got over for a try. So I think that's how we need to go forward. We need to go forward with Dylan coming off the bench, because he's proved in this game, and he's proved in plenty of games beforehand as well, that this is the best opportunity for him. This is his best position. This is where he plays best. This is where he gets our team up off the ground. So, and it was exactly that. We had Galvin go over, maybe a bit of a soft try. I did say at the time when we watched it live that looked too soft and it was too easy, and it was. And then Dylan Walker comes in with a big pivotal play a few minutes later, and all of a sudden we're back in control again. So, this is what veteran leadership off the bench does for a young team.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. Talon De Silva, he scored a try as well. It was a short dropout, a short kickoff from the Bulldogs. They were trying to get some points or get possession to score some points, but it went wrong again.
That was the kickoff from Moses' penalty goal. That one.
Uh, yeah, I think that was. Anyway, I think that was after. Yeah, so Moses kicked the penalty goal for a late tackle from Leo Thompson. It looked pretty bad, to be honest. Probably is on report, I think, and late tackle. So Mitchell's got the Eels out to a 16-point lead there, 10 minutes to go. Which is where you want to be. So then the Bulldogs have kicked off. They've done the short kick off. I think Josh Curran again, poor fella, he was involved in that one as well. And Talon picked it up, I think, on the 40-metre line, Parramatta's end. And geez, he's got some pace. It must be those Grips performance socks that he wears. Shout out to Ari and Grips Performance Socks, Grip Socks. You can find him on Instagram under Grips _ Performance. But yeah, he just sprinted away. Did you know that he was that fast?
I didn't know that it was that fast, but what I did find a bit funny was watching the replay back later on in the night at home. Hearing the commentary say Talon De Silva is the fastest hooker in rugby league, and I don't know about that one. I think Damien Cook might have him covered for pace, the old beach sprinter. So, look, if he's the fastest hooker in rugby league, I'll take it. That's for sure. Take any advantage we can get, whenever we can get it. But he was another one, Talon. He was another one that stood up big time. I think at this point, Riley Smith had come off of his sternum injury. I don't think we'd be too concerned about that one. I think Riley will back up. I dare say if you look across the league, you probably find, 60, 70% of the leagues playing with a sternum concern of some type. So that's a pretty common one. But he was sitting on the bench with the ice pack on the sternum, and Talon got his opportunity. And as soon as Talon got his opportunity, he stood up big time. So, look, it was good to see him spread his wings, that's for sure. I didn't know he had it.
No,
I definitely didn't know he had it. So, that's good. Those Grips Performance socks are doing good things for him. I might order myself a pair as well.
just to see how fast you can go, eh? Look, I recommend you get a pair because they are definitely the most comfortable socks I wear. I wear them to work every day, and makes me walk a lot faster, I think. So even on my daily walks, but it was great to see. Then the wrapping up the game, Will Penasini, he scored a try late in the game, and he was pumped up about it as well. Again, I think he was just in the right place at the right time, picked up the ball, scored in front of the Eels crowd, the Eels faithful.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes did get a little bit sloppy. I think the Bulldogs probably knew that they were well and truly out of it. Jonathan Sewer did score real quick after Talon scored, and then obviously Will turned it back around shortly after that. But I think there was a bit of give up about that last 10 minutes. I think everyone knew that the occasion was over, and they were just playing to the full-time whistle at that point. Bronson Sherry did score a quick one afterwards as well, just to wrap the game up there too. So look, it was what it was. There was another good Johnny on the spot try for Will Penasini. I don't think Dylan or Will's tries will make the all-time highlights reel. Maybe Talon's will with that run of his, but look, the last three tries, or even the last two from the Bulldogs, they weren't really big highlight plays. They were just sort of the culmination of a good, hard-fought battle, I thought.
Yeah, no, it was a great result, that's for sure. 38 points to 20 was the full-time score. Now to the stats that matter, and it was... Did you know that we had 8 players with under 20 NRL games experience against the Bulldogs yesterday? Did you know that?
Yes, I did hear Jason talk about that in the press conference, and it sounds about right, to be honest. We had a conversation throughout the match, talking about experience and how little experience was out there, and I personally had a good chat with Eric Gross and Ray Price on the night, and And I said to him, was this all it took? Did it take you guys going down there and telling those young boys what it should mean to them and hearing their stories and sharing your stories? And look, if we're judging it based on the performance, maybe that is what it took. Maybe they did need to learn that hard lesson from the Titans last week, and have a couple of the veterans and the legends of the club sort of rip into them and tell them how to behave and look at the results. So maybe we should get the old boys down there every week.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know if it was about ripping into them. I guess it would have been just to offer that experienced advice to them, and that would have definitely inspired the team yesterday to put on a performance in front of the legends of the '86 team. I think even Fox at Okar, he came out during the week in one of the media clips and said that look, the old boys are going to be there, so we're going to have to step it up, and we want to perform in front of them. But so
If
I
I
don't
know
know.
Ray Price the way that I know Ray Price, I would say that a lot of those boys would have been too scared to lose in front of him.
Well, Sterlo is still scared of Ray Price even to this day, so you could be potentially right about that one. Um, so I don't know if they would have ripped in, but 8 players under 20 NRL games experience v the Bulldogs. So, look, that is a massive, monumental effort to get this victory, because they do say that you have to have like 50 NRL games before you sort of call yourself a first grader, and obviously, we know the reason why we've got all these players with under 20 games experience in the side because of all the injuries. Thankfully, we didn't come out with any injuries in this game. As you mentioned, there was Riley Smith with the sternum, but I think he'll be right to play next week against Manly. Other than that, touch wood, it was all pretty good. In terms of the injury front, so that was a good thing that we could get out of that the week. But I think the main difference between the Eels and Bulldogs, even though the Bulldogs had more possession in the game, the Eels completed better, 82% compared to the Bulldogs 75%. And we have seen in other games this year that if you hold the ball, you are going to win football games.
Yep, 100%. I want to put a big disclaimer out on the stat sheet. Being in the stands and being there on the night, I think I would like to see what the stat sheet looked like at the 70th minute of this game. I think that last 10 minutes there, where it sort of got a little bit sloppy and a little bit free flowing, when everybody sort of just give up on it, I think that's where this stat sheet maybe blows out a little bit in the favour of the Bulldogs. I think before that, that up to that 70-minute mark, which is where the game sort of really ended, I think that's where Parramatta would have held a majority of these stats in their favour. But the one stat line that I do really want to focus on, and the one that I think is the most important in this match: 26 kicks to 23, 886 kicking meters to 730. But then the biggest telling stat there, Parramatta has a kick defusal rate of 75%. The Bulldogs have a kick defusal rate of 45%. Now, I don't know if you know how to read a stat line, but that tells me that there was a big problem with the Bulldogs bringing in those bombs from Volkman and Moses.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we saw I think that man, Josh Curran, I think he dropped one. They dropped a couple, that's for sure. And yeah, Mitchell Moses, 23 kicks, 772 metres, and 2 forced dropouts. That's what you need to get if
Huge,
you definitely.
huge performance.
Oh, absolutely. Just puts Parramatta into a great position on the field each and every time with those kicks. And 2 forced dropouts as well. That's what you want. You want to have your dropouts, even though Parramatta's probably not that good at diffusing the short dropouts. I think we were pretty successful with one of them, but mind you, I hate the short dropouts. I'm a traditionalist. I like the long dropouts. But yeah, his kicking game was on song yesterday. Mitchell's whole game, I think, was on song yesterday. I think he took that loss against the Titans very badly, and he obviously wanted to redeem himself and do everything he could to make sure that this team wins this game. And he had a great performance yesterday, and that kicking game is just so important to Parramatta in each and every game. So well done, Mitchell, on a great game. The runs in the game. Brian Kelly, 20 of the 174 metres. Junior, he had a massive game. Junior, 17 runs, 169 metres. I think also about 20-odd tackles as well. 22, I think. Will Penasini, 15 runs, 153 metres. Dylan Walker, 14, 101. And the debutant, Saxon Pryke, 13 runs, 93 metres, but he also made 30 tackles as well in his NRL debut. What did you think of Saxon's performance?
I thought Saxon was fantastic. I do generally look at the run meters, and I like to sort of set, I don't know what the industry standard is, but I like to set a personal standard of 10 runs per meter. I think that's what you should really end up with at the end of a match. So if you have 17 runs, I think 170 meters is like your par score, for example. I think Saxon did just slightly fall below that. Maybe a few of his runs there weren't as effective, but his tackling was absolutely phenomenal. I thought for a young kid on debut, he really showed what it meant to him, and that was one of the more inspired performances. I think on your little live show as you were coming home last night, I put him up as my honourable mention for my player of the match rankings. So on debut, thought he was fantastic. Would definitely love to see him get a second week.
Yeah, first stint 32 minutes and his second stint 6.5 minutes. So 39 minutes in the game in total. So not bad for a debutant, and I agree, he played really well in his debut, and it's great to see a local junior getting another NRL debut.
I'll tell you what, just on Saxon as well, do you think there's been an NRL player that has had a more memorable debut than Saxon Pryke? You think about the whole week leading up to that. He's had the whole 1986 premiership team around him on the 40th anniversary. He's had all of his family come in to support him. He's been able to have his family there with him as he tells his story of what a Parramatta Eels first grade debut will mean to him and to them. And then he's gone out there on the field, and we've had the result that we've had, and he's had the game that he's had. I don't know if there would be a more memorable story in rugby league than that one. That's got to be up there.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think the icing on the cake there is just having the 86 team in and around the first grade team for the last couple of days of the week. So that's probably the icing on the cake, because we see
I think Peter Wynn said that his story had him in tears when he was telling his story of how he got from where he got to first grade.
Yeah, we've probably only seen half of it, even a quarter of it, of what was actually done at the jersey presentation. But he's gone through a lot apparently. A bit of injury, I think, last year. Had to overcome that. But, Rouse Hill Rhino, I believe. So, look, I'd have to think about that one, to be honest. But I think just the icing on the cake is having the 40th anniversary weekend, a game in a big game against the Bulldogs, the rivals, probably the biggest rivals of Parramatta. There's obviously been other memorable debuts. Look, just a couple of weeks ago, Arthur Twiddle, he scored 2 tries on debut with his first touch of the ball, I think. So that was a pretty memorable debut as well, to be honest. But
they actually made a footy card after him after that one. That was, I think it's, I think they're called Select, who do the rugby league footy cards. They decided to immortalise that moment in a footy card. So that's how good that debut was.
Well, yeah, so if you're talking memorable debuts, definitely that one was, Saxon Pryke's was monumental and one to remember. But look, I'm sure all the debuts that happen in the club are pretty memorable. They are a special occasion, and I love seeing the jersey presentation videos. They are really special. I mean, the older 80s players, the 90s, possibly even in the early 2000s players, they didn't have that sort of video footage going around because there were no the camera phones and that. So there was no social media, so they didn't have those jersey presentations. So you hear of some stories of the older players, obviously those ones who played when it was, under 23s, reserve grade, first grade. They used to sit on the bench and then they just progressed throughout the day, sitting on the under 20 or playing under 23, sitting on the reserve grade bench. They might get a start there off the bench, and then might sit on the bench for first grade, and then they might get 5 minutes or something, and that's their first grade debut. So there's no jersey presentation for them. So, but times have changed these days, and that's how they do it now. So tackle wise, Jack Williams, as you said, had a big game, 41 tackles. Dylan Walker 30, that man Saxon 30, Charlie Geimer 26, Ronald Volkman 24 as well. Any out of those that surprise you, or any others that surprise you out of that list?
Well, the fun stat that I want to bring up is actually on the opposition side. It's Josh Curran again. I've run through the numbers. He has had 5 errors in this game, 3 ineffective tackles, 2 missed tackles, and 4 of those errors were off kicks. So 4 of those 5 errors were kick defusals. That is how torrid of an afternoon Josh Curran had, and a good rib tickler from Josh Adokar to boot as well. So you want to look at some impactful stats. That's your impactful stat right there. I think Josh has probably owed about 4 try assists for the opposition side alone.
Well, it's funny how sometimes at Parramatta games there's memorable games for opposition players. I remember the big winger Manu Vadavai for the Warriors. He had a dud game against Parramatta, and it certainly was replayed time and time again. Jamie
Soward with Eric Growth, that's a monumental moment that's lived on all these years later.
Yeah, no, it is, but I mean that's just one moment. This like Josh, he had a few mistakes in the game. Manu had a few mistakes in the game as well.
Nathan Cleary getting sent off a couple of years ago at Para Stadium, that was a good one. That was a monumental bad game for him. I think he was on the field for about 23 minutes before he got sent off.
Yeah, but they're not over and over mistakes or moments in the game, are they? Those couple there that you mentioned, they're singled out moments. Obviously, they're monumental moments, but they're singled out. But what I'm saying is Manu and Josh Curran yesterday, there was just seemed to be those players were in the game for the wrong reasons throughout those games. If you know what I mean. So there was obviously missed tackles, there was drop balls and things like that. So it's funny how sometimes at Parramatta games those sort of things can happen. But top performing players, who was your top performing players in yesterday's game?
Are we going 3-2-1 here?
For the Eels, yeah. Give us your 3-2-1.
Well, my number 3, I already said my honourable mention was Saxon Pryke on debut. I thought he was fantastic.
So here's your 1.
I'll go 1, 2, 3. So my man of the match was my boy Brian Kelly. I thought he had his best game in a Parramatta jersey. He didn't impact the score sheet too heavily with the tries or try assists, but it was his sort of run meters and his defence that I thought really stood out. He had a great defensive game for somebody that's had a few poor ones in the last few weeks. So I thought that was a really good return to service for him and a really good response to the last sort of couple of weeks. My number 2 would easily be Mitchell Moses. I think he kicked us well and truly into that game, and well and truly, like, again, not one that sort of stood up too heavily on the tries and try assist sheet, but I thought his kicking game was more than enough to get us out of trouble, and we did earmark that as our battle to watch between him and Burton over who would get the most kicking meters, and I think we both agreed that the winner of that battle would be the winner of the game, and that's what sprung true as well in the end. And as for a number 3, there's a few guys that could put down there. I think I'll give it to Ronald Volkman. I thought he had his best first grade game, at least in a Parramatta jersey. He probably had a couple of good ones at the Warriors too, but I think that was his maybe standout first grade game. So I'll give him the number 3.
Yep, for sure. Well, my 1 point goes to Will Penasini. I thought he had a great game. His second game back in first grade after his injury. Scored a try, 153 running metres. Also made 11 tackles as well. 2 missed, but that's all right. Don't worry about that. But yeah, I just thought he was good, and he'll only hopefully get better throughout the season and as he comes back into first grade. Look, honourable mention to Josh Adokar. I thought he had a great game against his former club. My number 2 goes to Junior Paolo. I saw right from the kickoff with his first run the intent that he had in this game, and that's what we need from Junior. We need to just the hard running straight into the opposition. Don't worry about the offloads. Parramatta put the offloads in the rack yesterday. There was only, I think, 3 of them. So that's all that he needs to do is just run hard into that defensive line, tire them down. Also made 22 tackles as well. Played 34 minutes in his first stint, 19 in his second one. So well done, Junior. That's what we want to see. And my 3 points for my man of the match goes to Ronald Volkman. I think, as you said, he had his best game potentially in first grade, but definitely for the Eels, that is for sure. He did that first try assist to Josh Adokar, kicked that goal from the sideline, scored his try as well, and was a good linchpin with Mitchell Moses. And Mitchell's come out and said that he likes playing with Ronald at 5'8", so that's always good when your halfback says that he wants you there because he enjoys playing there. So,
do you see any reason for change when Pezet comes back, or do you think we stick with Volkman?
It's a difficult one. I mean, if Parramatta go on a run and start winning games, I'm of the old adage that if you're winning games, you don't change the team. But obviously, it will be a difficult decision for Jason Riles because Jonah Pezet is your major big signing for the year.
Well, you just have to look at the Tigers for that. They were on a roll and they brought Luai back and lost.
A little bit different between Jerome Luai and Jonah Pezet. I mean, Jerome Luai is on $1 million plus a year. I don't think Jonah's on that much, but
well, yes and no. I mean, Jonah is still our star player. Like he was our star, like, as you say, big off-season signing, the star signing, and same with Jerome Luai. He was their star signing over there at the Tigers. So they both play the same position as well. So there's a lot of I know the money, the wage difference there is probably significant, but realistically, there's a lot of similarities between the two when it comes to the situational approach of how they're getting selected for footy matches.
Oh, yeah. Well, to answer your question, I think Jonah will come straight back in, to be honest. And unfortunately, I don't think Ronald will stay there. But as I said before, if Parramatta go on a run and start winning games, well then I'm of the belief that you don't change a winning formula. You only change it if you have to through injury and suspension. But if you're winning, leave it as it is because it's obviously working. I don't think Ronald will play first grade when Jonah comes back. I can't see a spot for him on the bench either, to be honest. So he might get on the extended bench, but I unfortunately just can't see him getting a spot. But as I said, if I was the coach, if we are winning games, then he stays there for me. Because Jonah's going to Brisbane. So, what's more important, winning games now or next year? So, I'd leave.
Well, we did do that last year too with Dylan Brown when Dylan was out of the side and we started going on a run. Riles decided to keep the side out as it was. It kept him out of it. So,
what would you do?
Me, I would stick with Ronald. I'm with you. I like to keep a winning formula. I'm the same when they pick Origin. I like to pick on form rather than pick on loyalty. I've always been under the adage in rugby league that if somebody's on a roll, you keep them going. You don't push them out of the way to bring in a guy that's on more money just because they're on more money doesn't mean they'll play better footy. So we saw that, like I say, with the Tigers. I thought Jock Madden was really unlucky to lose his spot to Jerome Luai, and as it turned out, they lost the game. So I don't know if they would win that game with Jock Madden in there, but I thought it was definitely an interesting situation. So just looking behind our little recording setup here. Speaking of people that are about to go on a run, I've got 1, 2, 3 on our three big points here. I was almost bang on the money for the correct score in this game. I had 36-18, and what did we end up? 38-20. So I was bang on the scoreline. I had Josh Adokar as my first try scorer, so I was bang on there as well, and I was nearly bang on with the crowd. So I'll take that. It's a 3-for-3 performance there.
Oh, talk yourself up. Talk yourself up. Jeez.
I will say my 36-18 was Bulldogs winning, but the
Well,
reverse curse
well,
is
that
for
just
another week.
that just cancels out everything then. That just cancels out everything. Seeing as though you said Bulldogs to win, even though you're.
Hey, we played the reverse curse card again and it worked. So what can I say? Maybe I'll pick Manly next week just to see what happens.
Yeah, well, I think you should after that. The reverse curse.
It's happened all year long. Every week I've picked Para. I've not picked Para. They've won. So
Well, you know what to do this week.
Something, right?
Yeah, well, you know what to do this week. Tip Manly, but you want Parramatta to win the game. But look, a much more enjoyable game review to do this week. They always are after a big win against a rival, or against any team, to be honest. And look, I'm just really proud that the Eels, they stood up in front of the 86 team. They were embarrassed, and look, they'll probably admit it themselves that they were embarrassed last week, and they don't want to go through that again. So they knew what they had to do this week, and they got the job done. So look, hopefully they can roll that into next week. Now, as we mentioned, it is Anzac round next weekend. So it is a very special round for a lot of people. And Parramatta take on Manly at 4 Pines Park on the Sunday afternoon. It's the last game of the round again. So that will be very, very special there as well. So, Ben, thank you very much for joining me for this game review. It certainly has been a lot more pleasurable talking about it this week, hasn't it?
100% it has, and I very much look forward to doing this review with you. It's always sweeter when you beat a big rival, as you say, and I'll very much be looking forward to doing next week's one as well when we take down Manly on Anzac Day, on our Anzac round game. And speaking of Anzac round, we do still have a few of the Anzac jerseys and the Anzac shorts in at the corner post. If anybody is still looking for one of those, hit us up quickly, because they'll be selling like hotcakes this week for the Anzac round. And you and I have a little announcement, thanks to Macron as well. Macron have graciously donated a few caps to us to give away over the next few weeks on the podcast as well. So we'll work out what we're going to do as a little contest, and maybe we'll do like a score prediction or a crowd predictor or something over the next few weeks, and closest to the post might get a free hat. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we'll certainly try to work out something. That's for sure. Thank you very much, Macron, for giving those to us to give away on the podcast. Really appreciate that one. But yeah, we'll think of something. So stay tuned to the Instagram page, Facebook page, and we might even make it something to do with the podcast as well. So you might have to listen to the podcast to get an answer or something like that. So stay tuned for that one. They'll be coming up soon, that is for sure. Well, that is the game review podcast done and dusted for round number 7. So Parramatta, they move up to 14th spot on the ladder, which is still not there, but they are going up. So that is the only way is up.
And we're above Melbourne. That's the big thing there.
How good is that? And actually, someone did tell me that the Gold Coast and Melbourne put 50 points on us, and they are now below us on the ladder. So Yeah.
Funny old game, isn't it?
Oh, it's a great game, rugby league. The greatest game of all. But look, we'll be back throughout the week with some previews of the Eels and Manly game, and also our NRL preview as well for round number 8. But also keep an eye out for the NRL review of round number 7. So that's it for today. That's all we've got time for. Ben, thank you very much for joining me once again.
Thanks for listening to